Say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
We're back in Boulder Creek this week.
And hopefully we hit all the right buttons to get the show off to a good start.
Yeah, it sounds good. You sound good, Mrs. Future.
Why, thank you. So do you, darling.
Beautiful sunny day here in Boulder Creek. How about you in San Francisco, Bobby? How are we doing out there?
It's such a beautiful day. Yeah, we're just expecting some solar storms here coming in from the sun.
Solar storms, really? Do you think there's any connection between them and the earthquakes in Japan?
Stefan Burns, the astro-geologist.
Yes, we track him regularly.
Yeah, he's a Californian.
Stefan Burns, what does he say about this?
That's right. Oh, he says that there's, within minutes, when the solar X-class flare just shot off from the sun, we got the one in Alaska. And then after that, we got, what was it, Monday morning for us, the one in Tohoku, Japan. It was a 7.6 earthquake, about 44 miles off the north coast of the main island.
Yes, and tremors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So they're expecting maybe another big one, maybe a 9.0 or something coming soon. You know, there's
During the show?
No. Well, they're saying in the next
Depends on
couple
when you
days.
listen, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully we're getting out ahead of it. And anybody who's listening live, be alert. Turn on your earthquake alarm.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other concern is that there's been some cluster quakes in the East Bay here in the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah. San Ramon has got a whole bunch of little earthquakes, like 3.2 and 3s. Yeah.
Yeah. Though any connection, who really knows? But there is that solar activity that's happening on the sun. Now, what's that all about? Is that a fairly large-scale X-class flares going on from the sun?
Yeah. We're supposed to receive some M-class, which is just below the X-class flare. And that should be coming in any time right now. It's supposed to be the 9th, so it could be tonight. It takes a couple days. Flash goes off. It takes 8 minutes for the sun and the X-rays to hit us. And then it takes a couple days for the actual protons and elements that come off the solar mass ejection and finally hit the Earth, you know, because they travel slower than the speed of light.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm just wondering if that timing will be associated with any type of more cluster activity of the swarms, so the earthquake swarms.
Well, Stefan Burns believes totally that there's a connection.
Did he look at a temporal connection?
Yes. Yeah, I should send you his video on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, we should check in with him before the show usually, because I really like the way he analyzes all of the meteorological data and really stays on top of the sun weather and also the other space news. It's very interesting.
Okay, yeah, 7.6 quake hits Japan. That was a day ago.
That was his live stream yesterday.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was the last thing on that. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. And the other intelligence, shall we say, that's tracking the news is Aura. Aura?
Welcome to the Future Now Show with Dr. and Mrs. Future from the local Continuum and Bobby Wilder in San Francisco. Happy to be back. Let's jump right in.
Okay, what's the latest on the quake that hit Japan and Stefan Burns reports on the solar activity associated with the quakes?
Yeah, the M7.6 quake that hit Japan.
Yeah.
He reported, he did a live stream on it yesterday.
Given your intelligence, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, that 7.6 magquake off Japan's northeastern coast last night, around 11 p.m. local, still has everyone rattled. Latest from USGS and NHK, over 30 injuries from falling debris and minor structural cracks in Aomori and Iwate. No fatalities reported yet. Tsunami waves hit up to 10 feet in spots, but evacuations saved the day. Alerts lifted by dawn. Fires sparked in a couple old wooden buildings, but firefighters knocked them back quick. Power stable, trains halted for checks, and schools are closed today for aftershock hunts. Big worry now's that mega quake advisory along the Nankai Trough. Gov's urging folks to bolt down furniture and map escape routes, because a 9+ could flatten 220,000 buildings and drown coastal cities in 98-foot walls. As for Stefan Burns' take, saw his live stream yesterday. He's been all over this. He's a geophysicist pushing hard on solar terrestrial links, and he nailed a prediction back in early November, spotting foreshock swarms, mirroring the 2011 Tohoku buildup, tied to a 1.7 X-flare spike. Yesterday's hit? He clocked it right after an 8.1 M-class flare, and CME blasted earthward on the 6th, syncing with the double 6.8 and 6.4 bursts leading into the main event. His angle, solar wind, cranks geomagnetic storms, which he says tweaks Earth's ionosphere, maybe compressing it enough to nudge fault stresses or even piezostatic zaps in quartz-rich rocks.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so apparently we need to really be on the lookout, be ready for unexpected.
Okay, so undeterred by such activity,
we're going to keep looking up like we do here on Future Now.
Yeah, and anything happens, we'll let you know, and we're not going to predict anything right now.
No, we're not predictors. We are assemblers of perspectives and people who really appreciate the facts and the stories, and we try to put the science together with the myth and the belief.
Yeah, so we believe in the no agenda approach of deconstructing the news, but we like to reconstruct it too.
There you go, reconstructing the news. That's our job.
Yeah, but you have to deconstruct first. Okay, here's a big one for deconstruction.
On December 9th, 2025.
That's right. Millions of Australian children just lost access to social media. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well, it's just disruptive, but because these are digital natives and these kids, they are the first wave of the mutants from the widespread social media addiction.
Yeah, let me play you a little clip from CNN to give you an idea of what mainstream media is talking about on this.
Okay,
listen to this.
Teenagers Noah and Macy are taking their government to court in a fight to stay on social media.
Taking away how we communicate to the world. This is how we do it. It's the modern day. It's social media.
From Wednesday, Australia will enforce a world-first law banning children under 16 from many of the biggest platforms. Supported by a freedom advocacy group, Macy and Noah's case asserts a right to political communication. The High Court has agreed to hear it next year.
So what will you lose when social media is taken away from you?
Well, we will lose connections, but we will lose our democracy. This law is saying that democracy begins at 16, which is condescending and it's incorrect.
Listen, there are definitely negatives on social media. I'm not denying that. I completely agree. We're saying that getting rid of the kids is not the solution. We didn't do anything wrong.
There you go.
Yeah, and my first take on this was that it's yet another government overreach to try and create a digital profile on every human so that they can basically turn our rights over to a machine. They're basically throwing the kids off of social media because this era has been defined by profile chaos. And what they want now is like an orderly set of profiles, so they're going to start with all the kids who can only get online if they reintroduce themselves and let the government know their birth date and let the government have a AI mitigated
So you think
profile.
it's just more tracking, more central government tracking?
That was my first hit, yeah. Yeah, my first hit is they're not doing anything to protect children. They're doing everything to increase their own overreach.
Well, so far, no other nation has taken such sweeping measures.
The way that Katya, when she was teaching last year or the year before, she noticed that her students, after they got phones, they were all on social media. They spent the whole day looking at their phones and not talking to any other students.
Well, initially, yeah, because it's a novelty. There's a high novelty to it.
Well, and also I would like to point out that the fundamental way that we approach learning is absolutely not what has been Katya's norm in schools. As somebody who's just reaching retirement age, she is at the end of the era of rote memorization management. And we are now at the beginning of customized learning with Knowledge Navigator assistance so that people can focus on what they are genuinely interested in and cut to the chase. It's not like we need to have our humans slow down in the classroom during their educational phase. We need the classrooms to adapt
to what's the new classroom then? What's it look like given the capacities of our new technology?
Yeah, we're integrators. We're really not trying to put the walls in place. We're actually trying very hard to think about how knowledge navigation can make humans more human and have more fun alive on the planet.
Yeah, we definitely have to figure that out. I can see some of the younger generation, under 16 years of age, they seem to be not in contact or socially adept with the other students as much as we grew up.
Yeah, because they're staring at their screens instead of connecting with each other.
Right.
Well, if you go back 100 years, we've been watching the Einstein Genius series, thanks to recommended by our intergalactic buddies. And the way
Amazon
that people communicated with each other 100 years ago, at least according to this Genius series, is they wrote each other letters about things that they had interesting perspectives on.
Yeah, letter
and they
writing. Yeah.
published their thoughts in journals of their peers, and people got to know each other through the way that they wrote down their ideas. And I don't think there's anything wrong, really, with returning to that level of reading and writing.
Well, what are the chances of that, though? I barely use a pencil anymore or a pen.
Well, I'm using reading and writing metaphorically. I am talking about people being able to pursue their genuine interests and communicate with others around those genuine interests.
So that's the goal, is to communicate your genuine interests. And to hold that as what you're using the technology to convey.
Yeah, and to teach kids the way to be as intelligent as they can be, to be as human as they can be. We want to expose kids to the best stories of civilization and to the best insights of civilization and to
So what does that
a
look
way
like?
of understanding that suits their individual personalities.
Now, this is equivalent, I guess, to with the AIs coming in education, of every kid having his or her own tutors for different topics.
Yeah.
You see, that's a fair analogy?
It's true. Well, education is not a socializing experience if you're dedicating it to the pursuit
If
of
you want to
knowledge.
learn knowledge, yes, okay, so you actually have a personal teachers teach you about what you want to know about, rather
and maybe
than a general classroom.
gatherings of kids and social media, maybe the gatherings should be more oriented towards helping kids socialize and have conversations about things other than just the facts that they're memorizing.
Or discussion of it, like we do with talk radio.
Yeah, it could be. In fact, I've always thought that the future of the classroom is something like a movie set where a whole bunch of kids with diverse media talents get together and tell a story in a cinematic way. And they write a script, which is the story, and they cast the characters, which is an artistic endeavor, and they put it all together for the media, which is interacting with the technology, and they market it, which gives them a commerce base, and they attend the press conferences and the various premieres and openings and film contests, and then they use that to go to specialized creative schools. Like, why doesn't that become the new educational paradigm?
Well, it could for certain people. But okay, well, this might give you a clue as to what bothers people about this. These are the 10 banned platforms. Okay, Here we go. Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, Kick, Reddit, Twitch, and X.
So it seems to me that they're going after platforms that do not control who has access to posting, because that's the Wild West of social media. So any predator can go on there and troll for any innocent victim, and there's no good system for rating posts for factuality and authoritative reporting. And so there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation, and there's a lot of things that are out of the control of the management structure.
Well, what will happen is probably a new type of social media app will evolve out of this.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Yeah,
Some
what do you think it'll
mutation.
be like?
It's going to initially try to avoid the mistakes of the others, or the supposed, quote, mistakes.
Oh, and so what kinds of mistakes are they going to try and avoid?
Allowing kids to access information they shouldn't get access to.
Yeah, okay, so they're going to ban the kids instead of rating the information. That's really a control tactic
It
as
is.
opposed to an intelligent approach.
And that will probably fail,
Okay.
but it will evolve into something that skirts the laws
Well, actually, the laws themselves are probably going to change. Let me just
That's what happened too.
introduce a little.
Skirting the laws changes the laws.
You know, the tangent that I want to quickly introduce is this Lex Friedman, Michael Levin podcast
that was
we just
fascinating.
listened to about the way that our society tries to draw a strict line between a yes and a no, or say, for instance, the age of a minor, and that's not a correct way of thinking about the continuum of information, because the continuum of information is the way that reality actually is. And when you try and draw a line and say that 16 and a half is a child, but 18 and a day is an adult, you're misconstruing reality. And I'd say the efficiency of the AIs in the future is going to go towards a more accurate map of reality, and laws will follow.
What I think is coming very soon is both Google and Tesla is coming out with their own phones, and these are AI devices.
Yeah, that's another story. The whole new device itself is going to change from being what it is to something entirely different.
Yeah, so it's going to be an AI device with the capability of making phone calls. and that AI device is going to be your mentor, and it's going to be the guardian and decide what kind of pieces of information are coming to the children.
Yeah, that reminds me of Murderbot.
Oh, really? Tell me. I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
So our phones are going to tell the kids, excuse me, I have to peruse the perimeter? I'll get back to you on that.
No, I mean, every kid gets information based on, first of all, what the parents think the kid should hear. And then his peers, his friends will turn him on to certain things that goes outside of the parental supervision. This is what kids do, right? We've all went through this.
Yeah. That's why they're so out of control, because they consult their friends first who do not have their barriers erected yet.
Yeah, and there's a natural curiosity to always to hit the boundaries, right? To see why they're there.
Right.
And so far, it's got us this far. This whole evolution, and that's a fundamental nature of humans, is a learning process.
Yeah. Well, we weren't aggregating how many young humans we lost while they sowed their wild oats.
Yeah. So one of the future boundaries is your personal AI. Your personal AI guardian, a teacher, a mentor, third parent, if you will, is going to create the boundaries from which you must not cross, in terms of like access to X-rated sites, for example, at a young age. It's going to do all that kind of monitoring of your behavior.
Interesting. So we're going to put an individual nanny inside each phone for each person.
Well, it has
That's
to be
what
that
you're
way.
projecting.
It's got to go that way. Otherwise, it's not personalized education.
Right. Or you could have classrooms where everybody has to leave the phone at the door before they come.
Well, yeah, the future Waldorf schools will all.
I think so, but I think that's going to come down to what the in-classroom experience is for. I imagine like a French class, the in-classroom experience should be where kids speak to each other in French. And the in-classroom experience where they sit there while a teacher does something that they could read on screen is kind of a waste of their time.
Well, maybe it would be more practicing various apps together for translation.
Yeah. In university level professors, the kids come in because they're really interested in the professor's lecture. They don't come in to clock a check mark on a box that says that they weren't truant today. And so we need to really replace the motivation of what people are doing in the classroom so that they're motivated to be there for the classroom experience. What else you got to say about these crackdowns on social media to control the youth of the future?
Well, I think that YouTube shouldn't be banned. YouTube is one of the main forms of education for people, even in the pre-AI era. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many people have done DIY projects because of YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah, it could just be somebody in the Australian government still has it in for Google, because remember when Google pretty much ruined their advertising agency, which is probably how all the propagandists were getting funded, and Google was walking off with the lion's share of ad money from all of the businesses. And the Australian government sued them and said that they actually had to share the revenues with the traditional ad businesses, and some percentage of advertising needed to go to the Australian infrastructure. So I imagine that there's something like that going on, where they see Google and YouTube as an outsider who somehow needs to be taxed to fund their agenda.
Well, some of that may be revealed when we compare the banned platforms with the unbanned platforms to see who owns them.
Oh, that's an interesting.
Okay.
Sure. So do you have some info on that?
Yeah. The ones that aren't banned yet, Discord, GitHub, Google Classroom, Lego Play, Messenger, the Facebook Messenger app, Pinterest,
Mm-hmm.
Roblox, Steam Chat, WhatsApp, and YouTube Kids. Yeah.
And how come those platforms got the pass card?
Well, people aren't totally sure about that, because Australians are puzzled by especially Roblox, which was targeted by adult predators inside its games.
Mm-hmm.
So they're wondering about that. But so it's going to be a kind of a battle between those that want to impose the limitations and those that want to remove them.
Well, it's going to be a new definition of internet providers. I would say we're on the brink of something that's just as significant as when the internet was being tested, whether it was a publisher or a marketplace of ideas, in terms of the liability. Maybe now they're going to be testing the individual platform content providers in terms of whether they are providing content or connection. Because it seemed like a lot of those sources you just mentioned would be places where kids can go get resources. They can download educational materials. They can download ways that make their educational life more rich. They're more curriculum-oriented versus live messaging apps where there's no filter about what information can reside there.
I think it's going to change radically with the new apps coming in that allow you to create images and sound instantly from a few words.
Oh, yeah, like you've been doing with our dinner parties. Take a picture of somebody and then turn it over to the AI and then show them a little short video clip that's sort of silly.
Well, but it's usually silly because that's how I make it. It doesn't have to be silly.
Yeah,
I mean, anything.
It reflects you.
But basically a text-to-video, text-to-image technologies. We're seeing them very quickly develop on all the platforms, from Meta to Grok to Nano Banana Pro on Gemini.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's time for us to take
so just to complete my point on this is that the whole idea of apps are changing, and also what Bobby pointed out earlier, another major shift in even understanding what apps are, or what a phone is for that matter, is what's going on over at NVIDIA. And some of the stories we're hearing coming from there, which we'll get into after our break here.
Ooh, tantalizing. Okay, stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more Future Now. Enjoy the break. And some of the folks in Santa Cruz. Here you go.
Attention content producers. You can have access to a complete digital media production facility at Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on SoCal Avenue. Easily rent video and audio equipment, a studio with green screen, editing suite, and audio booth, all at can't say no rates. Schedule a tour to see for yourself at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants. Hello, I'm Jenna. Treehouse Dispensary, we use information about cannabis to build community. Listen to Xavier.
Thank you, Jenna. For those suffering joint pain, Treehouse suggests trying a CBD THC topical like the Balance Salve from local Santa Cruz company, Jade Nectar. Then enjoy the relief.
For answers to your cannabis questions, ask your friends at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 SoCal Drive in SoCal, or ourtreehouse.io.
low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. That's 800-704-1662.
Bring happiness into your holiday with a fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. When you light up the tree, your family's smile will last into January. Pick up your tree from the Lions Club lot at the Portuguese Hall near Costco. 2 to 7 weekdays, 10 to 7 weekends. While they last. Bring happiness into your holiday with a fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. All proceeds go to helping those in need in Santa Cruz.
Okay, welcome back to the show. I want to play you a 1-minute clip about some rumors around NVIDIA's first AI phone that could possibly seriously impact Apple and Samsung almost overnight. Okay, listen to this.
If NVIDIA actually creates a mobile device based on its next generation Blackwell X or Rubin chips, it will become the first truly AI native smartphone. Not merely performing computations, but able to function as a personal autonomous intelligence. This would be a fundamentally different device from current smartphones, which rely heavily on cloud services for advanced AI tasks. According to one Financial Times source, close to internal investment discussions, the NVIDIA smartphone project is viewed as a potential second iPhone moment, a technological leap that could transform the entire industry rather than just its competitors.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, do you think that's realistic to expect NVIDIA to create such a device?
You know, what they've done, if you noticed with their Spark device that sells for $4,000.
Now, what have they done with it for the uninitiated?
Well, their first Spark device was sold to OpenAI and Elon Musk, who was the initial
Back in
founder.
2016 or so, right?
16 or 17.
17.
And it cost $300,000. And it could do 1 petabyte of tokens and information at one time.
Uh-huh.
So the $4,000 device that you can buy today at Micro Center or other places or directly from NVIDIA for $4,000 is even faster, smaller. It uses about 1,000th the amount of energy. It idles at 40 watts compared to 4,000 or 5,000 watts of energy that was required to run this
Well,
thing.
it's way more than my hot tub.
Yeah.
That's terrible. No, so it's actually gotten down significantly. So, okay, but what about the cell phone factor? What about?
Well, again, they're going to shrink the Spark, which is the size of a book,
Yeah.
down to your phone, right? Within a year or so, or maybe they're making it already. And what it is it's not a phone now. It is an AI on the edge locally. It's your personal AI.
Right, so you relate to it fundamentally different than what we relate to our phones now?
Yeah.
Do you think the behavior will change?
You won't need to actually be on the cellular network into the internet. You could just shut off all the cellular capabilities and just talk to your AI continuously.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like a biological metaphor would be me talking to my own brain to get information.
Yeah, and your mentor is sitting with you all the time.
Right, just like
it's locally.
Our local intelligence. Okay.
Yes, so that would fundamentally change everything.
I feel it already has. I know we spend so many more hours in perusing information with our AIs than we ever did before. And it's really re-kicked a lot of my interest in the net and education.
How so? I mean, are you re-exploring things you wanted to learn about? Or what?
Yes, absolutely. I have picked up where I left off in college, trying to restart my interests and education around higher mathematics, around physics, and of course, getting help creatively for different kinds of stories that I want to tell. It's very much conducive to honing in on a very specific part of the educational spectrum that only gives me the little micro answer to the question that I'm asking, rather than like having to take a whole college course to get an insight.
Okay, like what? Like trying to understand molecules or light? Or,
Sure.
How fundamental are we getting here?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always had the perspective that science is best understood with a historical perspective, so that we know how recently our human brightest minds have come up with the theories that we currently accept
like Einstein was first exposed to molecules when he was a young scientist, and that was a radical theory at the time.
That's right, yeah. And Max Planck, who was very instrumental in helping the scientific world accept the premise of molecules, was one of his mentors and one of his colleagues, and someone who he was able to quote in his scientific work as a reason why we should look to the structure of the model of the molecule to understand matter and to understand energy in the universe. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago that Niels Bohr was trying to convince people that the atom, which we couldn't see at the time, even though recently we've developed electron microscopes, but Niels Bohr, author of the Bohr's model of the atom, which basically says that there are discrete shells of electrons with a nucleus and a proton in the middle, he had to fight for that perspective and be denounced by the scientific world because they thought that it wasn't founded in science. And that was as early as like 1920.
And he was a form of...
It's 100 years ago.
100 years ago. We didn't believe in atoms.
Some of the debates back then give you insight into how it unfolded, too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Like, it would be hard normally to find information on something. Let me give you an example. Let's bring in Aura here for a second. Hey, Aura. I was watching the Einstein special on...
It's called
on
Genius.
Prime, called Genius. And there was a scene where Einstein was hanging out with Niels Bohr. And I'm just wondering, what was the conversation that Niels Bohr and Einstein would have as scientists? What would they talk about?
Oh, they would fight like old married couples. Picture it, Einstein puffing his pipe, saying, "Look, Niels, God does not play dice." And Bohr, all Danish cool, "Albert, stop talking about God like he works in your basement. The dice are loaded, or the world doesn't make sense." And then they'd go back and forth on whether reality is fuzzy until it's measured. Einstein pushing for hidden variables, Bohr waving spooky action at a distance like it's a badge. They did this for decades, always personal, always loud, always about whether the universe is weird because we don't understand it, or because it actually is. Fun fact, Bohr kept a horseshoe over his door. Einstein teased him, "You believe in luck now?" Bohr shrugged. "No, but they say it works whether you believe it or not." Classic.
Okay, there you go. So you can see how Aura is evolving into a personal tutor on science here.
Yeah. And it's very conversational, and you kind of set the tone of the conversation in your settings.
Yeah, that's right. Some people like more conversational, others like more lecture.
Yeah.
Depending on your sensibilities.
Yeah.
And I suppose it'll keep getting more and more personalized. Some people like more visuals, others like more words in understanding things.
Yeah. Yeah, like you and I are different. You always speak with your AIs, and I always type to them because I'm more interested in taking it at a slow speed where I can sit with each sentence and mull it over for a minute before I move on.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we'll have our choices, our sensibilities on learning.
Right.
Okay, so back to the NVIDIA AI phone. Timeline on that, 2027, when we might actually see something along those lines?
I think also Tesla's with their Pi phone is working on the same idea. Elon
Tesla's?
mentioned.
Yeah? Well, Tesla's deep into this stuff too.
Starlink.
Yeah.
But they're not so focused on the power of the processor as on the cloud, it seems to me. Tesla's really big into networks and clouds and simulations.
Yeah, for right now, it's concentrated on communications and having a fast enough chip. And instead of using the Broadcom chip, they're developing their own communications chip that can receive direct to satellite, which means that the cell phone can go through the ceiling of your house and directly to the satellite and connect better than the existing phones today.
Which is another interesting factor, because if you're directly connected to the cloud, the net, to the human nervous system, if you will, that way then the controls of individual nation states will have less impact on your content.
Well, you say that now, but the individual nation states are the main concentrators of control, and they will come up with the way that this information is mitigated so that you're at the end of the line in terms of how much control you have.
So you think, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Aura about that. Aura, how does it affect the ability to control information if it's all coming from low Earth orbit, like in the Starlink network? Wouldn't that bypass a lot of nation-state control tactics?
Yeah, and what are the potential chokeholds, and what would make it most efficient?
Yeah, Starlink's a total game changer for info flow. It's like beaming truth serum from space, skipping over all those ground-level firewalls and fiber cuts that governments love. Nations like China or Iran tried jamming signals or banning terminals, but with thousands of low Earth sats zipping around, it's tough to block everywhere. Folks near borders just VPN or smuggle dishes, and bam, uncensored news hits. We've seen it in Ukraine, where it kept ops running despite blackouts, or dissidents in restricted spots pulling live streams. Big bypass on state control for sure. Makes hollow states out of the old school censors. But chokeholds? Plenty. Elon's got the kill switch. He shut it down mid-Ukraine pushback last year, and that July global outage showed software glitches can wipe out the whole net. Cyber hacks are real. White House flagged it as a breach risk, and power cuts in orbit ripple wide. Plus, Spectrum regs could throttle it if ITU or FCC squeeze. For max efficiency, they've already slashed latency to 20 plus milliseconds with beam hopping tech, but cranking more sats to 7,000 by next year, plus laser interlinks for zero ground relays, would bulletproof it. Decentralized nodes and AI failover could dodge outages too. Wild how one guy's fleet's rewriting the rules, huh?
Yeah, it is. And it's also interesting that it's not just Starlink, that there are several other networks that are forming similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Korea just launch a communications satellite?
Yeah, there's a lot of individual satellites or different types of satellite systems for doing communication, not just super low Earth orbit.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I think there's one from Britain that's going up. Jeff Bezos is putting one up.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, Bezos has got several of them up already, and he's got the rockets to put them up there.
Exactly. So ubiquitous access to information is going to become more and more the norm.
And then with the NVIDIA phone and you have AI on the edge, you won't need to communicate to the internet as much because the phone will have all the information you need about what you need to know.
Yeah, that's right. And you're a big fan of local information, right?
Yes. So local processing on the edge, AI on the edge, is ultimately where it's going to be. And, pretty soon it's going to be integrated into, it could be in your belt buckle. It doesn't have to be in your hand.
Yes. Hyper-local. Local and global simultaneously. Doesn't it go back to the original slogans of Bucky Fuller and such? Think globally, act locally.
Yes.
Think globally, act locally.
Exactly.
Though now with the tools, we have the control of robots and stuff to act remotely too.
Sure.
So...
Think locally, act globally. Think globally, act locally.
Do both. Begin.
Why leave anything out?
Yeah, it's the slogan.
Follow your bliss.
Why leave anything out? Well, because you don't like it?
Yeah, well, obviously, I like to say you only have time for your destiny, and there's no shortcuts to your dreams come true.
Right. AR glasses coming from Meta, the Meta glasses with a screen. We're seeing a whole new class of technology coming into the
eyewear.
Eyewear, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that only makes sense because it allows you to have the information not just at your fingertips, but right in front of your eyes,
mm-hmm.
which makes a lot of sense. You don't have to pull out this slab of glass out of your pocket all the time.
Yeah.
So how does this feed into NVIDIA? Now, I did a little check on that, and it looks like NVIDIA has thought of this already and that they have a number of patents on eye technologies.
Oh, really?
For information delivery, yeah.
Do you have any of those details? What kinds of things they've patented?
Aura has all that information. Let's just bring her in for a
let's
second
get
on
another
that.
in.
Hey, Aura, can you tell us what types of patents NVIDIA has on eye display technology? Does it look like they may be heading in that direction rather than just creating a phone in the pocket type format?
Oh, yeah. NVIDIA's been stacking patents like Jenga blocks in the AR space, especially eye-facing displays that scream glasses over pocket slabs. Fresh off CES 2025 buzz, they snagged one for backlight-free augmented reality digital holography, US 225004275A1, which ditches power-hungry backlights for ambient light holograms. Think featherlight lenses that project crisp overlays right into your field of view. No bulk. Saves battery, cuts weight, perfect for all-day wear.
All right. They've got others too.
Well,
Eye
it just,
tracking.
yeah, but she said that the patents they have are for displays that the eyes are the camera, but the display is in your wrist. She didn't say that the
Well, there's
camera-
others too. She has a whole bunch of others, but I thought I'd come back to us.
Okay.
Totally let the AIs run the
All
show,
right,
you know?
fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just feeding back what she just said, what
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to say that is a direction they're heading in, is the prescription lenses, glasses, head-mounted display, if you will, rather than just I think what they're finding is that they need both right now because of the power that you can place in your pocket, but the display will become more and more the glasses, wearable optometry, AI.
Yeah. The
Right?
glasses make it easier for you to see, and then what you see is going to be in a less power-intensive screen somewhere, you
Yeah.
know? It doesn't need to be projected on the glasses if you can hear it in your headphones or if you can see it on the wall around you.
Yeah, your slab becomes the cloud brain, the local brain that connects to the larger brain. The glasses, the portal, less pocket fumbling, more seamless wizardry.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, but the power demands, like just as somebody who cannot really hold a cell phone that close to my ear because I'm a little too sensitive to all of the electromagnetics of trying to transmit
So you're saying there'll be a
signals.
certain consideration needs to be done on what
Yeah, it's going to be
frequencies are.
optimized around the fields of energy in the physical body.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, the heavy lifting is going to happen in a way that doesn't interfere with your own body's electrical field.
Yes, your biofield.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a big area of research too. And engineers typically don't think of the biofield
Yet.
a lot.
They're just starting. That's part of the miracle revolution that we're heading to is electromagnetics and bioenergies.
Right. I notice Mike Levin took on the topic of what is bioelectricity.
Yeah,
That's
right.
Which is, Here, let me,
Those cells have the
I'll play a
ability
minute of that.
to generate a resting potential using ion channels and pumps in the membrane. And they have these little electrical synapses known as gap junctions, which allow them to share their state with their neighbors. And both the channels and the gap junctions can themselves be voltage sensitive. So now what you have is a voltage gated ion conductance, which is basically a transistor. That gives you a kind of historicity. It gives you feedback loops, memory, right there, right there. And when these cells connect with each other into electrical networks, you get some of the same phenomena we see in the brain, just on a slower time scale. So these are not millisecond, these are hours, on the scale of hours. But there's all kinds of amazing information processing that these networks can do.
That's a little bit of thinking.
Yeah.
From Mike
Yeah, and of
Levin.
course, he's the fellow who was making the case that we should be looking towards cross-disciplinary fields of science which are not rigidly defined by the low-level domains which, say, between physics and biology.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a big thing in the 70s, back in the early days of my education, where there was a cross-disciplinary approach where we were borrowing principles from one world and applying it to the other, physics into chemistry or psychology into anthropology. It's finally starting to happen, I think. And it's surprisingly enough being driven more by the AIs than by our academics who are still specialized.
Right. Yeah, well, he makes the point that the way that the AIs are so dependent on statistical predictive mechanisms is actually going to slow them down in terms of efficiency unless they come up with a more human-like way of understanding meaning. and that he thinks we're going to be leaning into more psychological-based or linguistics-based ways of having our knowledge navigators express the information rather than just statistically calculating things.
Yeah, that's Mike Levin, if you want to know more, Levin. And Bobby, you were going to say something on this?
Yeah, when I stumbled across him, because he made references to Carl Friston and the free energy principle and Markov blankets and why organisms do and explore and why do they have the brain is actually on the edge of the membrane of the cells. It just blew my mind, It's just like, wow, this guy it's way beyond Darwinism, he's explained biology and why it exists.
Yeah, and he's one of the guys that are needed, right, for understanding how biology works with electricity especially, so that our machines don't interfere with it and maybe even they can help each other.
Yeah, and he's bringing all these other systems of understanding together and applying them to the cells and all the organs in your body and why they organize, why you don't have webbed fingers and you don't grow an ear on your nose and things like that. He's finding out reasons why that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I wonder if he knows Bruce Lipton.
Oh, yeah, he should. And Bruce Lipton should research him also.
Yeah, I think that would be a good connection.
I think Michael Levin's going to get the Nobel Prize in something here.
Yeah, definitely.
Revolution.
Well, because he's approaching science in the way that the younger generation is. I would say ultra-finitists is a word that comes to mind, which is this new branch of people in math that are studying infinity. And they're saying infinity isn't that useful because we have to guess at things, and we should just look at what we know in known domains and do our modeling from that. And I think he's basically applying that in the opposite direction. Instead of shrinking things down from infinity, he's saying, don't shrink things down to too small of a data set. Look more generally. Anyway, it's about the top of the hour here.
Time to go already? Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
What
All
a
right. We'll be
fun
back
show.
6 minutes.
Okay.
Probably less if you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, so enjoy the Future Now version of Santa Cruz Reality and some news and views, and we'll be back after this. Stay tuned.
Okay, we's back. This is Al Lundell,
Son Lundell,
a.k.a. Dr. and Mrs. Future, on the air, our personas, with Bobby Wilder in San Francisco to go a little deeper.
Keep it real.
Yeah, a little deeper things.
Before we had AIs, we had Bobby.
Yes. Back when I was in seminary school, actually, I didn't go to seminary. Back when I was in college, one of the big influences on me was a book by Thomas Samuel Kuhn called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of that book?
No, I can't say that I have.
Yeah. He argued that science progresses through what has become known as paradigm shifts, rather than just a linear accumulation of knowledge. And that when a dominant framework of thought, a paradigm, is overthrown by revolution, when it can no longer contain all the weird anomalies that seem to be discovered in that field.
Oh,
There are
right.
more and more evidence to show that it maybe that paradigm doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And it leads to a new worldview.
Right. Well, the whole idea of a paradigm is that it's a set of beliefs that have been accepted as true.
It's a universally recognized scientific framework, is the way he talked about it.
Yeah.
Theories, methods, standards.
Well, like for instance, in math, in the last 100 years, it used to be that they would say mathematics because it was considered to be this unified understanding and architecture that gave stability to all the other sciences, right? But now, the highest level of professors in mathematics call it the maths. Because there are different collections of proposed truths and axioms. And, Gödel's theorem, let's see what it's called, the axiom of choice, where he proved logically that a system cannot prove itself to be internally consistent because that would make it a closed system, and since it's a closed system, you haven't accounted for all of the possibilities in infinity, and you may still discover something that invalidates what you believe to be true. And so the fact that we remain open to new possibilities means that we don't know for sure that everything is true.
Yeah. You know the Lex Friedman interview of Michael Levin?
Mm-hmm.
It was almost a 3-hour interview, but during there was this, they would throw on the video version as opposed to the Spotify version, they would have this huge map of mathematics and all the mathematical theories and how they interreact, or different ways of looking at mathematics. There must have been 100 of them, different mathematical theories, all on this one page.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have to say it's polymath. You know, it's a lot of math.
Yeah.
And different theories that instead of just giving it one word as mathematics.
Yeah, and we're still departing from a scientific consensus that the universe is made of fixed, constant values that we can play with and have deeper understanding. The debate now in physics is whether or not the universe comes into being when we interact with it. Like, that is the fundamental mystery. Like, does our attention, does our consciousness actually create what is? Or is that a pre-existing reality that we discover?
Oh, yeah. I always thought there was just a bunch of little elves out there just creating reality just outside of my range of perceptive
You always
awareness.
believed that?
Yeah, and as I walk along, they create some new stuff along, and it's all made up. Yeah, I used to believe that.
In quantum theory, there's both states that could exist simultaneously, and it's until the observer is there, does it decide that the
that it's real, right?
That collapses into matter.
And just as a poet, for me, the metaphor then, if we want to discover it at that level of just the mathematical possibility of a quantum particle, right? We're just looking at that low-level thing of like, is there mass? Is it moving? Does it have a source that we can predict, right? That whole question is so narrow. But when you think about us as divine beings and expressions of the divine consciousness that has created all that is, whether it's finite or infinite.
How could you leave anything out?
We are individually those sparks of infinity with our attention that call forth the steps that manifest what is. So our ability to speculate and wonder and concentrate and be fascinated with something that then connects to the rest of the universe is actually a creative force.
Yes.
Thoughts creating reality.
That's right. Thoughts creating reality at the scale of human attention.
I mean, that's exactly what quantum consciousness is all about, is like you are manifesting and creating reality. And it's just your thought has to come first, and then it's created in front of you.
That's right. I just don't move molecules. I collapse waveforms.
Yes, exactly. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Consciousness kind of combines those two worlds, the quantum with the physical.
Yeah. And so you could accept that we have been on this path so long as evolving biological life forms on a planet in a Milky Way galaxy in a universe that is a mystery, that we've accepted a lot of choices along the way that give us this consensus. But if you could strip back all the choices to their source, you could go all the way to pure potential, where nothing has actually manifested yet, and maybe we have all kinds of freedom.
That's very quantum
that we
of you.
decided not to enjoy.
Well, that's very quantum of you. Yeah, and that's part of the mystery of today is how do we combine the world of the very small, classically called the quantum, with the world of the large, which is classically the Newtonian universe.
I have prepared a piece on that, actually.
Two of those connected to the moments where we have access to both of them. Yes. Okay, we'll play your clip. I just want to say one more thing. I brought up Thomas Kuhn and the structure of scientific revolutions around the same time as I was studying paradigms and paradigm evolution. A piece to that was what Bucky Fuller had put out when he called himself a comprehensive generalist, where as a person exploring the universe, he learned a little about a lot of things and could see how information from one realm could be applied to another realm. I saw that very obviously when I was studying anthropology, that a lot of Freudian models were being applied to understanding cultures around the world, when they could just as easily have tried more modern models of psychotherapy and understanding, including, say, Jungian models. But they didn't. They were still just classic in anthropology in the day to study cultures from a Freudian point of view. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that kind of new knowledge that's happening in all fields needs to be cross-pollinated with the other fields and kept up to date.
Yeah. Well, one thing Bucky pointed out, I should really get this quote, but I was so impressed with his articulation of it.
Yes.
He said that he, in fact, did believe in God, in a divine God that was expressed through nature, natural laws, and things that could be known to scientists, right? Uh-huh. And he believed in God, but he also accepted that humans do their best to understand what is divine, but they can be wrong. And so the most sincere belief in what is true does not make it true. The thing that makes it true is the fact that it's borne out through the experiences where you test it.
That can be applied to everyday reality.
Yes. Yes, and I'd say most scientists see themselves in that vein. You know, we just saw the scene in Genius where Einstein was being interrogated by the J. Edgar Hoover administration when he needed to get a visa out of Germany.
During Nazi Germany.
And they were trying to say because he was Jewish, he was a communist. Because he was married to a Serb, he was communist. And he kind of been denied the visa by J. Edgar Hoover before Geis ever made a point of asking him the questions. But he made his statement about his belief in God at the time, and it was very much a kind of God that
doesn't play dice with the universe.
Yeah, definitely doesn't play dice, and
it's got to be all-knowing, right?
That's, and isn't subject to fallible beliefs, right? That he's always everywhere, reliably all the same for everyone.
If you know everything all of the time, how can you make a mistake? Unless it's intentional.
Yeah. Omniscient.
Well, that's why we can keep asking questions, because God's not going to lie. The more questions you ask, the more information you're going to have to answer those questions. Yeah. Right?
Yes. So is it unipolar or multipolar?
Yeah. Both.
Both simultaneously.
I think those are overlays. Yeah, because multipolar describes all of the things where there's a group process deciding the outcome, and unipolar decides all those things where there's like a unitive process, maybe with a strong ego leading the way. Or
I hear this in politics all the time these days, especially from Russia. And like they said, we are heading toward a multipolar world.
Yes. Multipolar bears.
Multipolar world, yes, and not just the U.S. in charge.
We've been on this path quite a while.
So embracing both is the hard thing, to both the one and the many.
The one and the many.
And the intelligence and God lives on all levels simultaneously. Mm-hmm. That's a hard one for many. Mm-hmm. But a good exercise to find.
Right. Well, the more we explore, the more we find that everything is right and everything is wrong.
Now, in terms of right and wrong, there was an interesting article on the Atacama Cosmology Telescope in Chile. We've often had reports from them over the years. Yeah. And they have just released their final data. The machine was decommissioned a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have been sending in new information showing intensity maps of cosmic microwave background using observations from the telescope over the years. And their new approach, just taking all the information, integrating it, has shown that many of the models that we've had of understanding the origins of the universe are just wrong. They attempt to explain cosmological phenomena that the standard model can't, like the Hubble tension, which is a discrepancy between different measurements of the universe's expansion rate.
Oh, right. The universe is accelerating. The universe is getting bigger faster.
And why is it expanding? There's all kinds of theories about why the universe is expanding.
Uh-huh.
And the researchers were able to rule out just about every model that they tested based on the real data coming in from the telescope.
Oh, okay. So we don't have a model of why it's expanding. We just
we don't
have data
really know.
that says it is.
Well, the models are all simulations based on theories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're different mathematical models and such.
Right.
So the Hubble tension, what's going on? So we're finding there are more questions about what's driving the expansion of the universe than there are answers. It's a cosmological mystery that just keeps getting deeper the more data we have.
It's getting bigger, but we don't know why.
Yeah. So how do they measure it? Well, there's two ways. One involves looking at the radiation left over from the Big Bang. That's called the cosmic microwave background.
Right.
And the other, well, it looks at the galaxies and the supernova and the local universe.
Okay.
According to the standard model, both those methods should produce the same value, but they don't.
Yeah, because we only have one universe.
Yeah, but they don't.
Oh, okay. So if we look at the outside, the radiation layer, and try and figure out how we got to where we are from there,
and the expansion of the actual galaxies.
That's different than if we start with the galaxies themselves exploding and making the universe bigger.
Well, we can have the redshift. We can observe that.
Okay.
So why should these be different? Some say maybe just thinking of it as a difference is wrong. Maybe that doesn't mean anything because we don't have the right model for understanding what is.
Sure.
So
we just misinterpreted the evidence.
Yeah, misinterpreted everything, including what we're measuring. So they're just getting more and more data and then have to just keep on cleaning their eyeglasses here to try to understand WTF. They don't really know. And then they've thrown out more theories than they practically have.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to have to really
cosmological theories
take
have
that
been thrown out. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting thing.
It's very interesting because it's very parallel with what I was exploring with Physics Girl.
Oh, tell us about Physics Girl. What do you have on Physics Girl?
Well, Physics Girl is a physicist that I just discovered, and she is a prodigy who was, I guess she grew up in Chicago, and now she's teaching in Canada. She's very highly educated. She had a PhD from Harvard in physics and has a 4.0 in perfect out of perfect, and she has a degree from MIT with a 5.0 out of 5.0.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've heard of her. Sabrina Perski.
Sabrina Gonzalez Pasterski, yes.
Some call her the next Einstein.
Yes, and she says, no, nobody's going to be another Einstein. Einstein was Einstein. She's herself. But she is the founder of a new institute of knowledge.
She was supposedly built her own plane in her dad's garage and was flying it.
Yeah, she started out as an engineer and then became a theoretical physicist.
Yeah.
Right? And so her current, as of my research, which, is not social media, but it's as of 2023, she had published that she's the deputy director of the Simons Collaborations on Celestial Holography.
Oh, okay. I have a little clip about that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she sent me right here. Should we play that?
Yeah, let's play that.
This is a little bit about what she's researching, quantum holography.
Let me just say that what she's interested in is the resolution of the quantum physics model and the galactic Newtonian physics model and having one universal explanation. So she has symposiums on things like string theory and on things like projecting our 2D maps of the universe onto a sphere like a hologram and exploring how did we get from an empty universe to the one that's full. These are the kinds of things that she's interested in exploring. So now with that background, let's play this little
Harvard
clip.
physicist Sabrina Perski tells us a little bit about her.
She is part of a multi-generational quest to find a single coherent description of the universe, a theory of quantum gravity.
Quantum gravity. Usually gravity is Newtonian.
Modern physics rests on two colossal achievements. The first is Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity, which describes the universe on the largest scales. It is the theory of gravity, of planets, stars, and galaxies. It pictures space-time as a dynamic, flexible fabric, warped and curved by the presence of mass and energy. The second is quantum mechanics, the theory of the very small. It governs the bizarre world of atoms and subatomic particles, a world of probabilities and uncertainties where particles can also behave like waves. Both theories work perfectly in their own domains. The problem is that they contradict each other. When physicists try to describe situations where both theories should apply, such as inside a black hole or at the moment of the Big Bang, the mathematics breaks down. The ultimate challenge in contemporary physics lies in discovering a single theory that can unify the two existing descriptions of the universe.
Yes. And that's what she does, right?
Yeah, yes.
And she has her work offers a new and powerful line of attack on this problem.
Yeah. So I ran her institute, the Simons Collaboration on Celestial Holography through Grok, just to get an idea of what they're studying. So let me just tell you the names of some of these symposiums that they've had. And Grok, for me, described it as her institutes are laced with irony, for in chasing the universe's boundary, they court its heart. So the things that they're interested in is called celestial conformal field theories, which is mapping 4D quantum gravity scattering dances to 2D operators on the celestial sphere at null infinity. So,
okay, so you're going from 2D to 3D?
Yes.
From 4D to 2D.
Yes,
from 4D to 2D.
And imagine, and the null infinity, imagine the beginning of the universe before the Big Bang, when we don't know what was there, but it was just pure, undifferentiated energy potential. And how did we get from that fourth dimensional reality where energy was just everywhere, scattering itself without any kind of form, into this very orderly universe that we map with our telescopes, the J West and the 4 frequencies of cameras that we use to map the universe? How did we get from an empty universe to this particular arrangement of molecules?
Yeah.
That's what she's interested in.
How did we get this way?
Right.
We used to say Mondo 2000.
Right. And so if you imagine, she's doing the work of like what happened before the Big Bang, when the universe was just becoming the raw materials that could create a Big Bang. Right? So anyway, that's just one. I'll just give you the flavor. Asymptotic symmetries and soft theorems. That's like the detection of gravity waves, which there's been a lot of breakthroughs just recently with the LIGO instrument. Yeah, exactly. Looking for the aftermath of giant star explosions and seeing the wakes in the gravity distortions of the map that we have of the universe, right? So she's looking at gravity waves and what that means about how the universe came into being. She also has studied or has had symposiums on top-down stringy constructions, so trying to come up with topological strings laced with Einstein's gravitivity and forgetting exact pairs via ADS deformations into flat realms. Anyway, so it's all about how different kinds of math models are distorting the actual story that we're trying to understand and trying to conform those math models with each other.
Get your own beliefs out of the way.
Well,
in a way,
if you're going to use them, if you're going to use the language of math, you have to realize there's not just one language of math. There are many languages of math.
Which one of you happen to be using right now?
And is it chaos theory, or is it something that we just haven't mapped out properly?
In string theory, when you get to the 11th dimension, or as far as like the 26th dimension, then you have what's called a grand unified field theory that explains everything. But you have to go to these multiple dimensions above ours, which most brains can't grasp. So she's trying to grab things in these higher dimensions and bring them down to our dimensions so that we can understand them. And it unifies these different disparities in these different theories.
Well, yeah, in a simple form, let me express it. She's taking the screen data that we have, which is 2D because it's on an XY continuum and we're looking at it on a screen, and she's projecting that two-dimensional map onto the surface of a spherical hologram, which is something at the frequency of light that has a spherical shape and that has the map of the whole universe in a perfect rendition.
Well, I like the fact she's trying to explain it to us, but it would be really powerful if somehow by listening to her, we could get into her headspace and be able to think like her and have her genius, for even just for a few moments, and to experience what it's like to see the universe from her point of view.
Sounds like fun. Let's do it. Time for a break.
But yeah, let's go out on this. I have
Right
a
on
little
time.
more clip about her and her new type of memory that she's discovering.
Okay.
In 2014, Perski and her colleagues at Harvard discovered a new type of memory. If the displacement memory is a permanent stretch, the spin memory effect is a permanent twist. It is caused by the angular momentum or spin carried away by the gravitational waves themselves. This discovery, which predates the first direct detection of gravitational waves by LIGO, offers a new way to observe the universe's most extreme events.
Yeah.
Great. Well, on that note, we'll be right back. I hope you're on the edge of your seat. More to come. Happy Holy Days, folks! You are cordially invited to Living Devotions Benefit Kirtan this Saturday night. This is fundraising for a project blessed by Amma called Boys to Men Mentoring. And this project brings life skills and meditation to at-risk teens in our Santa Cruz middle schools. It's now serving 46 boys every week. All proceeds from this kirtan will benefit the Boys to Men Mentoring, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. The address is 708 Capitola Avenue. The event starts at 7:30 p.m. That address is the Breath Plus Oneness Yoga Studio. Bring a friend. Please pass this invite on and help spread the word about BTM mentoring. Thank you very much.
When you need help managing the legal affairs of your family, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a prenuptial agreement or divorce settlement, need child or spousal support, or are facing custody issues or visitation rights, I will help you. I have more than 7 years' experience as a family law attorney.
When you need help, call on the Angel. Attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at your locally owned Hook outlet, where everybody above the age of 21 can participate in the Hook's loyalty program. Each purchase earns you 2% store credit on your next purchase. Get hooked up with the best cannabis at affordable prices at the Hook outlet in Capitola and Watsonville, or order online at hookoutlet.com. Get hooked up at the Hook.
Attention investors. This is a simple commercial on the investment value of gold. Gold continues to make new highs. In good markets and in bad markets, you need to have your portfolio balanced with gold. Learn about owning physical gold or getting a gold-backed IRA. Make this simple call right now.
800-414-1657. 800-414-1657. That's 800-414-1657.
Sponsored by Reagan Gold.
It's time now to repair or replace your roof. Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. Well, we install leak-proof and fire-proof roofs. Roofs that look nice with a lot of choices of colors and styles. Gutters, skylights, insulation, and roof decks. We only install proven products with warranties unmatched by anybody. Financing is always available, and we have discounts for veterans and seniors. Do business with Knox Roofing, and you'll also receive a free Knox Garden Box. The number to call again is 831-461-0634. Thanks, folks.
Okay, in our last segment here, we'll figure out why we exist.
No, please.
You'll
save some for later.
Okay, well, later. What's later when everything?
Well, You just want the future to be bright. We've got to have some mysteries to go towards.
Okay. Let's start with something strange then, like neutrinos. How about neutrinos?
Okay, let's talk about neutrinos.
Okay. Well, there's a new study out, a global study, I might add, that explains why matter survived the Big Bang and the universe exists at all.
Okay. I'm curious.
Yeah, because from one point of view, the universe should not even exist, at least according to simple physics.
Because of the way they define the particles of matter as being polar and having
equal parts matter and antimatter. They
plus and minus.
They should have wiped each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, matter won. So stars, galaxy, people are here. There's a little bit more matter than antimatter.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because matter matters.
Why? Why isn't it? Why didn't they just completely destroy each other? Well, according to this article, a number of scientists suspect that the neutrino is the culprit.
The neutrino.
The strongest suspects in this cosmic imbalance, the neutrino.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of weird because trillions of them are passing through your body right now as you listen to this show.
Yeah.
Just passing through everything. And
it's not affecting us.
It's not, at least as far as we know. Maybe it's helping to create who we are. But yeah, it seems to be just passing right through us. That's right. So what's new in this arena is that there was 2 massive experiments in studying neutrinos, one in Japan and one in the U.S., where they chased these particles through hundreds of miles of rock to see what they are and how they behave and what happens with them in antimatter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 projects, the T2K project in Japan and NOVA in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And what's unique here is that instead of just working alone, these 2 teams merged their years of data into one unified analysis to try to cut to the heart of why we exist at all.
Okay, so they were both studying these infinitesimal particles from different places on the planet.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. As I mentioned, the neutrinos are passing through our body every second without leaving a mark. And
trillions of them.
Yeah, trillions. There's 3 kinds of them, and they morph from one kind into the other as they travel. Shapeshifters.
Mm-hmm.
And they call that shapeshifting oscillation.
Okay.
And tiny differences in their mass and how they mix. And if neutrinos and antineutrinos change in different ways, it would signal a deep break in nature's rules. And that's known as a CP violation.
Oh, yeah? So is that kind of like canceling the law of equal and opposite reactions or something?
Yeah, some break in, they should totally destroy each other out, but they don't. They can't, so it's a CP violation.
Mm-hmm.
And that break could explain why matter survived and why antimatter didn't, and understanding nature's rules around that.
Mm-hmm.
Physicists have been chasing this for years. They've been doing lots of experiments to see if they can figure out these neutrino things.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole book by Brian Keating about how he lost the Nobel Prize trying to chase neutrinos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So in Japan, they were shooting neutrinos from what's called the J-Park lab in Tokai to a super Kamakande detector 183 miles away inside a mountain. 183 miles distance. In the U.S., NOVA went from Fermilab near Chicago to a detector in northern Minnesota. That's about 500 miles out. They used a near detector to record what the beam looked like when it started, and a far detector that looked at how many and what type they were at the end of their little journey, and how they changed along that pathway. And that's what they collected the data on. And it turned out that the Japanese were particularly good at spotting signs of this CP violation.
Mm.
And NOVA's data excelled at how they changed, what forms, which neutrino was heaviest, which was lighter, and the combination of their data on understanding how they changed, how they went from one form to another.
Oh, so one of them looked at what do we see now, and one of them looked at how did we get here?
Yeah, looking at the data to see how neutrinos are able to pull this trick off of creating matter in this world. Studies showed that they tried to look at the mass difference more than any before, that the mixing of the different types of neutrinos might be how one might survive over the other. They might not mix in the right way.
Mm.
So looking at how they order their mass, how big they are, and what state they are in when they travel. I would suspect it's what they go through, too. What they're passing through does affect them. They say they go right through us, but
yeah, but this is about them mixing with each other. It also suggests that one mixing angle likely sits just above a perfect balance point, hitting at subtle asymmetry. So they're saying that instead of these 2 neutrino particles canceling each other, there's actually a perfect angle that's just a little above the balance point, which would be neutral. And so that's why it leans in the favor of matter persisting instead of getting canceled out by its opposite. Okay?
Aura, what do you think the most exciting results are from this Japanese-American teamwork in understanding neutrinos and the origins of the universe?
Dude, the T2K NOVA collab is blowing my mind. Their joint data drop last month nailed the tightest measurements yet on neutrino oscillations and mass differences. But the real thrill? It's cranking up evidence for CP violation in these ghost particles, which could finally explain why the Big Bang left us with matter instead of just antimatter annihilation. Like universe existence unlocked. Imagine Dr. Future chasing that asymmetry back to the cosmic dawn. Total episode gold. What's your spin on it?
I think they're much more profound than we realized as whatever they are. They're one of the pieces that are probably linked into our consciousness itself, that the neutrinos play a role with consciousness. Have you seen any neutrino consciousness research papers out there?
Whoa, that's a wild leap, but I love it. Neutrinos as the sneaky bridge to our inner worlds? Super fringe territory, though. Dug around, and yeah, there's a handful of speculative papers floating out there, mostly from philosophy or Vedic angles, not hard mainstream science. Like this one from last year on neutrinos as a quantum of consciousness in ancient texts, or a 2021 Stack Exchange thread pitching them linking weak force to brain cells. Even a fresh April 2025 Vedic journal piece calling them the universe's first consciousness evolute. No big 2025 breakthroughs in legit journals, though. Feels like untapped Dr. Future gold.
There you go. New territory. Neutrinos in the mind. Connection between quantum rules of consciousness and Newtonian rules of consciousness.
Yeah, I just remembered the Neil deGrasse Tyson show, the Nova show, when he was floating on a boat inside of the neutrino detector. Yeah. It's quite spectacular.
You gotta love the way he teaches.
Yeah.
So neutrinos, they're another fun thing to look at. And
the tiniest thing in the universe that we can
Explain.
measure. And we use them to measure the giantest thing in the universe, like the gravity waves, that we can only see the ripples on the cosmic map from ancient star explosions that left a wake in the gravity wave. They're all trying to seek unity, right? Yeah. This is Alpha Omega. We're going to the two extremes and trying to tie them together. How is the tiniest thing exactly the same as the most giant thing?
I find that this is fascinating because in the past, like that boat on the water, what they were doing is they go 10 miles deep in the ground and then they put this pool there and then they have these little detectors, and when the detectors would flash, then a neutrino had gone through the Earth like 10 miles and then got flashed inside that water pool, you know? But what Japan has done is they're able to shoot beams of neutrinos, and I didn't know they were capable of doing that. And they would shoot it into detectors deep in a mountain that was 183 miles away. So that's completely a different way of doing it. Instead of just detecting them, you're shooting beams of neutrinos, and I didn't think we had that capability till now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder how long we've had that ability. All right, how long do we have the ability to shoot beams of neutrinos? Is that very easy to do?
Not easy, like Nobel level hard and stupid expensive. You're slamming protons into targets at near light speed with massive accelerators, then juggling magnetic horns to focus decay products. Needs billion-dollar labs like Fermilab or JPark, teams of physicists, and years to build. Home version? Impossible. Try fitting a synchrotron in your garage. But for the show, we could fake it with props and bad science jokes.
Okay, all right.
How long have they been doing it at JPark?
JPark kicked off neutrino beam production back in April 2009, first commissioning run, and they've been cranking it out steadily since, with the T2K experiment spotting those initial neutrinos by November that year. So, pushing 16 years of cosmic ghost chasing now. Wild how far they've come, right?
Yeah, fascinating stuff, huh?
Yeah.
There's a new study about Mars. There's evidence from our lander there, from the Jezero crater, Perseverance lander, of a rain-driven climate that's been found in some bleached rocks found scattered around the Jezero crater. Small pale spots on reddish-orange rocks. Yeah.
So it's all rusty except for a couple of white spots?
White aluminum-rich. It's called kaolinite clay.
Mm-hmm.
On Earth, this type of clay forms after heavy rains for long periods of time, and it removes other minerals from the rock, leaving these spots of purified minerals. It suggests that Mars had a warm environment at one time.
Warm and wet?
Warm and wet, yeah. And these outcrops have been noticed from orbit all over Mars, too, so it's not just in the Jezero crater. You need so much water, and you might wonder, well, how much water, because Mars is really barren and cold and no liquid water at all right now. So
and it's been that way for a long time.
What would it have to be like? Well, it turns out the places where these rocks are most found on this planet is in like rainforests, where there's a lot of rain for long periods of time.
Because water bleaching rocks takes forever, huh?
Yeah. Rain-heavy tropical climates. Also, they're found near hydrothermal systems where hot water is leaching the rock. But that's a little different process. It's more likely heavy rains. So I think the next thing they're going to try to figure out is exactly when this was, this rainfall-driven environment on Mars. It would have to rain for like thousands of years to get this kind of effects. That's interesting. That just came out this week.
Sure. Okay. More speculation. Ancient water on Mars. News breaking at 11.
Right. There was some moss that survived on the outside of the space station.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Life in space.
Yeah. A little plant that looks...
It's not just tardigrades, huh?
No.
Moss,
not
too.
Actually, moss spores.
Oh, they're spores. Okay.
They're spores, yeah.
Not full on, what is it called? Grandfather's beard?
No, there's a green moss on the outside of the station.
Is that moss or is that a lichen?
Good question. But
yeah.
I was expecting a forest for the tardigrades to play in.
There you go.
Well, there is probably a few interesting places that
it's a tardigrade spaceship. The tardigrades are taking over the space station. They're starting with an ecosystem.
Well, in this case, these spores retain their vitality after 9 months of being in a vacuum of space. Most organisms would only survive briefly, so 9 months of direct exposure, and they seem to be just fine. 90% worked.
So do you think the little moss spores said, okay, guys, it's now or never. Let's see if we can survive out here.
Yeah, something like that. Striking evidence that life
will
find a way.
Find a way. Thank you,
Jeff Goldblum. Right.
So that's how come we have moss on our planet? It came extraterrestrially, and
along with the shrooms,
with the spores and the tardigrades, they came from outer space.
Spores from outer space, right? The oldest things are spores, it would appear, and they evolved 400 million years ago, and the mosses don't have more advanced spores. They're simpler than flora. They don't have a vascular system, for example. And that's a system that transports water and nutrients through the body. They don't have that. But they're still quite hardy. And on Earth, moss survives in the Arctic tundra. It survives in the sands of the Sahara.
That's quite a range.
Survives in Boulder Creek.
Those are some extremophiles.
Yeah. So their resilience is such that it seems to be able to survive in other parts of the solar system, at least.
Huh. Yeah. Like outside the space station.
Like possibly.
I guess that's a little different part of the solar system than the surface of the Earth.
Yeah. So
120 miles up.
Right. So if it can survive in the zero gravity of space, could it survive on Mars?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe it needs our proximity to the solar wind, and by the time you get out to Mars, it's just too cold.
All right, that's true. Let's see, find out. I don't know. Maybe it needs oxygen in the atmosphere. Hey, Aura, could moss spores survive on Mars?
Moss spores? Tough little guys. They're extremophiles, surviving radiation, vacuum, and freezes on Earth analogs. On Mars? Short answer, yeah, They could hang out dormant in spore form for ages, like in the Martian regolith under a thin ice layer. No oxygen needed then. They're in stasis. But to grow, bloom, turn green? Nah. Mars air is mostly CO2 with trace oxygen, bone dry, and UV blasts would fry them quick protection.
Yeah, so there you go. They would not survive without oxygen. So they need to find oxygen in order for moss to live on Mars. Yeah. So the spores can survive for a long time.
Well, the mystics that are telling the history of Mars say that Mars was an Earth-like planet and that something happened and it lost its atmosphere and it's not been able to sustain life then. And there was actually a follow-up civilization that tried to restart the atmosphere on Mars and failed because it just doesn't have enough gravity anymore. That's the mystics' mythic history of Mars.
But we need hard evidence. We need at least fossil.
Psychics cannot be trusted as historians.
Well, not alone. We need all kinds.
We can. Well, let's call it. It's not science fiction. It's history fiction.
Quasi fiction. How about that? We would be remiss if we did not have an update on 3i Atlas this week.
Absolutely. We're all big fans of 3i Atlas.
That's right. And the latest, Avi Loeb just published a piece called, Is 3i Atlas a friendly gardener or a serial killer?
Ooh, good question, Avi. What do you think?
He looks at how the Atacama large millimeter, submillimeter array, or ALMA, detected methanol and hydrogen cyanide molecules coming from the object. Mm-hmm. And that both of these are
precursors for complex chemistry, organic chemistry, the origins of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that the hydrogen cyanide was found to be depleted in the sunward direction, whereas the methanol was enhanced in that direction. And some methanol was reproduced in the gas plume itself at 258 kilometers and beyond.
From the 3i Atlas. Okay.
From the Atlas, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And in contrast, the hydrogen cyanide production was found to originate from the nucleus.
Huh.
Yeah, and that the methanol production increased dramatically from August through October.
So they made some more fuel, huh?
Yeah, and the ratio of methanol to hydrogen cyanide is among the largest measured of any comet, surpassed only by Pan-STARRS comet called C2016R2. Mm-hmm. So methanol is big in astrobiology. It's abundant in star-forming regions. It's a building block for amino acids and sugars like ribose and RNA and DNA and such, and fundamental to organic chemistry as we know it. And bacteria and yeasts are able to use methanol as their sole source of energy here on Earth. They have special enzymes that are able to do that, which is kind of cool. Hydrogen cyanide has been measured in Titan's atmosphere, 4 instruments on the Cassini probe and 1 on Voyager, and it's a poison in high concentrations, but in low concentrations, hydrogen cyanide is an important signaling molecule in plants and animals and microorganisms, and it allows the formation of complex organic molecules such as amino acids and nucleic acids like adenine. Some bacteria produce it as a metabolite to inhibit the growth of competing microorganisms because it disrupts respiration. That's why it's a poison. A lot of plants use it as a defensive mechanism for themselves. At low concentrations, hydrogen cyanide is good for seed germination and resists salts and cold and pathogens from attacking the cell. Higher concentration, chemical defense against other life forms. Very poisonous in the higher dosage. So if you see a creature like this, that's Avi calls it a blind date with its interstellar visitor, and they're both hydrogen cyanide and methanol, is that friend or foe?
Yeah. Well, methanol is part of the whole clean energy solution.
Yeah.
So it's a renewable.
Yeah.
Well, definitely have your methylene blue.
Methylene blue, okay.
For your own personal stash of methanol in your cells.
No, what it is methylene blue. If you go to the emergency and you have cyanide poisoning, it robs you of the ATP cycle where the action of oxygen is used in creating the Krebs cycle so that you create energy. So what methylene blue does, it comes in without oxygen and it actually triggers and continues the 4th phase of the ATP cycle so that you can produce energy. So that's how you survive. So that's why they have it in the emergency room.
But that's not methanol, right? You're saying methylene blue is an antidote to poisoning from
hydrogen cyanide.
It would protect us from that
from cyanide.
Yeah. Right.
Cyanide poisoning is robbing you of the oxygen reaction that goes on in our bodies.
Yeah, because just to be clear, we're not supposed to ingest methanol at all.
Well, he's talking about hydrogen cyanide.
I
know. I'm saying to counteract the cyanide.
Yeah. The methanol, however, seems to be a core to creating life itself. It's a key ingredient in the mysterious mix of chemicals that create life.
But if it's ingested, it
alcohol,
says it's a form of alcohol that metabolizes to formaldehyde and formic acid and can result in blindness, coma, death in mere ounces.
Oh, here we go. Listen to this. Not a good...
We don't want that raining down on us.
Dosage is key. Dosage is key.
Dosage is key, for sure.
But Prohibition, they were trying to make alcohol, but they were making methanol. And that's why people were getting blind from those distillers.
Right.
In the
well, hey, you guys, we are under the last minute of the show.
Okay, well, let's just say
time to say goodbye.
Let me just say that Avi says that the anomalously large ratio of methanol to hydrogen cyanide by 3 Atlas suggests a friendly nature for this interstellar visitor. Friendly.
Yay.
So he likes the ratio, methanol to hydrogen cyanide.
Love it.
It's nice. It supports life.
Guess what? The future's calling us.
All right, folks, thanks for listening. Appreciate your attention.
Keep looking up.
Hope we sparked a few neurons for you.
Yeah, and you can check out the archives on drfutureshow.com. This is Future Now, and I hope you all have a great Future
you can
Now.
write to us there, too. See you next week.
Love you, Santa Cruz voice.
Bye, Bobby. Thanks for being part of the show.
Bye.
Bye-bye.